Here and Now, the program featuring the news and interests of the African American community. Here's your host, Sandra Bookman.
Coming up, declassifying the FBI's MLK files, why President Trump made the controversial call despite the objections of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s family. Also ahead, the quality of life investments and improvements coming to the Bronx. We hear from the Bronx Borough President leading the way, and the critical need for African American blood donors, how the American Red Cross is meeting that demand. That's all ahead on this half-hour edition of Here and Now. It is the birthplace of hip-hop and home to the all-time winningest team in baseball. That would be the New York Yankees. It also has the highest poverty rate and highest violent crime rate in the 5 boroughs. But these days, the Bronx has reason to celebrate with a long list of quality of life improvements and investments. And joining us today is the woman spearheading the charge to make life better in the Bronx, Bronx Borough President Vanessa L. Gibson. So nice to see you again.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
You're the hardest working woman in politics.
I'm outside.
Yes, but hey, but that's what they want to see you doing your job.
Yes.
I gotta ask you about the past weekend, because you guys really got hit hard. There was the issues after the the Bronx Dominican Day Parade, and then there was another shooting close by. I know you, like all borough presidents, working to get a handle on that, gun violence.
That's right.
Because it particularly seems to be they seem to be getting younger and younger, the people that are on both sides of the weapons. Do you feel like you're making progress in that regard?
Despite what you see and hear a lot, I do feel we are making progress. On that Sunday, when we recognized the 36th annual Bronx Dominican Day Parade, I joined Mayor Adams, Commissioner Tisch, and District Attorney Clark at the 42nd Precinct, and we were making an announcement that since the Adams administration, there were 22,000 illegal guns confiscated in our city. And just for this particular year, 3,000 guns, a lot coming from the Bronx. We are making progress, but the proliferation of illegal handguns is also prevalent in our borough, and also the mindset to use weapons. Conflicts that end in violence is unacceptable, and the injuries from the parade after the parade was over are certainly alarming. We had a double homicide in Ferry Point Park, also alarming. And so it just speaks to the critical work that we do, the commitment that we have, the credible messengers and anti-gun violence organizations on the ground. We all have to have an opportunity to be a part of these conversations, because it is an all hands on deck approach with the NYPD. And I know the mayor himself, as well as the police commissioner, have talked about the fact that so much of these numbers, crimes, down in all 5 boroughs. And then you have that sort of young group of people that it just seems to continue to be an issue, not just in the Bronx, as I said, across the city, and not just in this city, unfortunately. All right, let's talk about some of the resources that you are helping bring into the Bronx. $20 million has been allocated for the Greater Morris Park Downtown Revitalization Initiative. Talk to us about what that is. So our office, along with BXCDC, applied to the state of New York earlier this year for the DRI, Downtown Revitalization Initiative, Round 8. The history of the DRI program is usually a $10 million commitment to a region, New York City being one region. We had not received this money in several years. We applied for the Greater Morris Park community, the site of our future Bronx Steam Center for New Metro North, Montefiore Einstein, Mercer University, an incredible business corridor of working class people and employees. And we were awarded the entire $20 million. Governor Hochul delivered a check to us, and we are excited. We have a local planning committee. I am co-chair along with Lisa Soren at the Bronx Chamber of Commerce. We just had our 3rd meeting earlier this week, and we are getting ideas and proposals. The deadline is August 8th to develop our strategic investment plan, but it's going to include beautification, public safety enhancements, park upgrades. It's going to be a variety of different projects that really enhance the Greater Morris Park community, which is White Plains Road bid, Morris Park, Westchester Square, and Morris Park.
Yeah, and you pointed out that this area is a top 10 employment center in New York City.
Yes, absolutely.
So the money going there is important.
It's a big deal.
There's also been a $3 million grant awarded to Lehman College.
Oh, I love Lehman, of course. And I've also invested millions of dollars to Bronx Community College and Hostos Community College. Those are our 3 CUNY schools, and they all provide so much opportunity for young adults that want to get an associate's and bachelor's degree going into different career industries. Each year I meet with CUNY, our chancellor, Dr. Fellow, and his team, and we talk about my 3 CUNYs and what they need. I meet with all 3 presidents. I have a task force on higher education.
Yeah.
So I work with Mercy, Fordham, Monroe University. I work with the College of Mount St. Vincent. I work with everyone because our job is to be a partner to make sure that there are pathways to college and career opportunities.
And speaking on that, specifically Lehman College, one of the things that Grant will do is to build a green jobs workforce center.
Yes,
right?
Exciting. And that's going to look at green jobs and stimulating the economy and creating pipelines into the green tech industry for young adults that have ambition, that have interest. Lehman College is one of our incredible partners in this work. We hold job fairs, career fairs with Lehman. We work with President Delgado and his team. They just opened a nursing building about 2 years ago. They are the home of BronxNet, our public access channel. So they do a lot, and I look forward to building out our green jobs economy in partnership with CUNY and Lehman.
We've recently, in the president's big, beautiful bill.
Oh, goodness.
Essentially, your borough is going to see some Medicaid cuts, which will affect things when it comes to access to health care in your borough. Have you thought at all about how you are going to help folks fill that gap?
We've talked about it, and I want to give credit to our members of Congress. I joined Congressman Richie Torres and Grow NYC in front of our Borough Hall Farmers Market a few weeks ago to talk about the impact on Medicaid, Medicare, and let's not forget SNAP and EBT.
Yeah.
Food access programs, we're going to feel that impact. Families that are at the federal poverty level, that are working class, on fixed incomes, older adults, veterans, people with disabilities. I think about vulnerable populations that will impact. What are we talking about now? We're talking about strategies. How can we use the state adopted budget, the city budget to look at EFAP, HIPNAP, other food assistance programs, farmers markets being all year round, administering more health bucks so that we can use them at farmers markets and farm stands. We're doing all of that. We're talking to service providers. How can we give them more support on the ground? Because they are the providers, credible messengers. They have the continuity, the cultural competency, and they serve our communities. It is going to hurt, and we are not overestimating this. Those cuts are going to have a real impact on medically frail, those that are homebound, those that rely on these safety net programs. And so we don't call it big, beautiful. It's the big, ugly bill.
Okay, emphatically.
Yes.
And I'm going to give folks your website, bronxboroughpress.nyc.gov.
Right. Yes.
You go to that website, you can find out what's going on in your borough,
Absolutely.
the services that are available, maybe some of the things you need people to get involved
Absolutely.
with to make things better in the community. And before you go, I know the anniversary of hip hop, August 10th.
August 11th.
August 11th, you got a celebration plan?
We always do something. August 11, 1973, birthplace of hip hop, 1520 Sedgwick Avenue. DJ Kool Herc and Cindy Campbell had the first party in their community room. Fast forward 50 plus years, we will open the Hip Hop Museum in early 2026. I've already designated several $1 million to the project. We believe that the genre known as hip hop is a global empire.
Yeah,
it's
it is.
preserving history. It's talking about the credible messengers, all of the pillars of hip hop, from the DJ, the B-boy, the B-girl, the video music box, Ralph McDaniels, right? Everybody, Grandmaster Caz, Cold Crush Brothers, MC Sha Rock. So many pillars that started in the Bronx, and we honor them. So August 11th is synonymous for hip hop. It's a day we come together. Shout out to KRS-One too, because he always has a fabulous block party on Sedgwick Avenue. But we're definitely going to celebrate August 11th.
All right. It is always great to see you.
Thank
Bronx
you.
Borough
Thank you
President
so much.
Vanessa L. Gibson. You get it done. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back. The recent declassification of FBI files related to the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. has garnered some mixed emotions. Despite the objections of the King family, President Trump ordered the release of the documents. Now, some are asking, is this about government transparency, an intent to tarnish Dr. King's legacy, or deflection? Our next guest has spent decades covering the intersection of race and politics. Joining us today, award-winning author and New York University professor, David J. Dent. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
So what did you think when you heard that the MLK files were going to be released?
You know, I think there's a level of political convenience for the Trump administration to do this because, in fact, well, one of the things in interviewing many Trump supporters who were previously Obama supporters, there's a large number of Obama-Trump voters, and there's a large number of Biden-Trump voters. And many of them are somewhat on the fence to some extent and always looking for a reason, perhaps, to justify their support for Trump. And there's this need for the Trump administration to send them signals that counter all of the anti-intellectual ways in which DEI and other things have been attacked under this administration. So this kind of puts us a different face. It could perhaps make the administration appear to be interested in education, in letting people know transparency, which is something they are, of course, under attack for not having transparency. So I think that this was a convenient way for the administration to try to address some of the issues besetting them.
So tell me, why are these files in and of themselves, explain this to folks if you will, why the files are in and of themselves important in the context of history and telling the story of Dr. King in this country? They're
extremely important. And while there was a lot of information in the files that was not that significant, there's a lot that is quite significant. For example, FBI agents and officials referring to Dr. King as one of the most dangerous, which was something that was in the files. And because of his connections to communism and his capacity to actually appeal to African Americans, large numbers of black people, or the masses, so to speak. So I think it shows the actual mindset of what we all know was attempts to basically undermine the fight for progress. And the civil rights movement. So, I mean, we see evidence of that in these files. So that's part of the significance, but there's also other elements that aren't as useful, I would say.
Yeah. You know, one of the things the King family has reportedly said, and they've kind of said this from the beginning, is that they asked people to basically, when they looked at this material, to put it in context, to look at it in context. I think there were concerns about it perhaps damaging the father's legacy, and obviously considering the FBI's position on Dr. King at the time, there are aspects of the files, perhaps his alleged womanizing, that is you're basically going over old history. And I think the concern was that perhaps that kind of thing becomes, overshadows the fact of what his advocacy and his legacy truly means to the country.
I think context is the key word there. I mean, that you have to look at all of those things in the context of relationships at that time and that moment. And so that's definite. And that there, if you look back at the Kennedys and look back at so many other examples of behaviors that some would consider inappropriate, so to speak, Yes, of course, that's something that is a part of the history that doesn't really have much to do with the rich legacy and the rich contributions and the way, Dr. King was a transformative figure in American life. Yeah. And so we shouldn't allow those kinds of things to overshadow the view of the man while not hiding things also.
Yeah. There's also a lot of conversation because in the last few weeks, the conversations and questions about the Epstein files. Many people have the feeling that perhaps the release of these documents was timed so to distract from that. You give people something else to talk about, what this hand is doing you don't see over here. Just your thoughts about that.
I think that was probably, I can't read the Trumper mind, but I do think that that was possibly, certainly does seem to be part of the motivation. And I don't think it served that purpose though, but I do think that probably was in the mindset, perhaps, of the administration's kind of master plan in releasing the files. But I'm not sure it served that purpose well for them.
You teach young minds. If you're talking to them about this particular episode, the release of these files, along with any other files, administration, what do you say to them in terms of how they should, for themselves, look at the release of the files, view this administration's or any other administration's actions in the context of, what you teach about, the intersection of politics and race and culture? How should they be viewing this, looking at this, not telling them what to think, but how to critically make a determination about how you view this?
This gives a window into so much that I think is really a real strong teaching moment. First of all, let's look at the paradox here to some extent. This is an administration that has sought to limit what we can learn about African American history, and that has disciples all over the country that are limiting what they're basically creating behind book bans, and that are keeping people from learning about history. And so let's take a look at that in the context of that effort of what we could say is to censor our look at not just African American history, but other elements of history. And so that's one thing that I think they should begin to see the big context, to see the big picture. And they should also, this is a very good way though for them to travel back in history and understand the past and understand the why, and get to know just a different era, and to get to know also the elements of the struggle for civil rights in this country that many of them are beneficiaries of. But, as many of them also are looking at kind of a backlash right now. So this gives them a context to look at that backlash as well.
Right. David Dent, Professor David J. Dent, thank you for sitting down with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. We'll be right back. According to the American Red Cross, African Americans make up about 13% of the population, yet only about 5% of blood donors. And more black donors are needed because of a rise in demand for some rare blood subtypes that are more common in people of African heritage. Here to talk more about the need for blood donors of all ethnicities is the CEO of the American Red Cross of the Metro New York North Chapter, Stephanie Dunn Ashley. Thank you so much for being with us this afternoon.
Thank you so much for having me, Sandra.
I've done this story, honestly, almost every summer since I started being a journalist.
Thank you.
That there is a greater need for donations in the summer. Why is that?
In the summer, a lot of people are on vacation. You know, it's hot. The temperatures coming up the last couple of weeks and a couple of days ahead have been really warm. So people tend to do things that are a little differently. Their routine is off, and so therefore it's not a regular time for giving blood, just like around the holidays ends up being a busy time too.
And I always want to give you guys a chance to tell people, it is not painful. It's so easy to do and important.
It's very easy and it's very important. I'm a regular blood donor. I have been for many, many years. And it's just like a little stick, like you get a flu shot or needle. It's very simple, very easy.
And, you know, I mentioned the importance of getting more African American donors. Why is that such an issue?
As you mentioned earlier, about 5% of African Americans are blood donors in our group of blood donors together. Mm-hmm. What's interesting, though, is only 3% of the population of Americans do give blood, period.
Yeah.
So we have to grow the blood donor base no matter how, but it's important for Black and African Americans because specific diseases are genetically defined through blood types from Blacks and African Americans. And once you can help your fellow Black or fellow African American with that cross and screening, mm-hmm. The outcome is much better for those people suffering from those diseases.
Yeah, you get exactly what you need. Mm-hmm. Now, are there some particular blood types or I may not even be asking you the question right. When it comes to sickle cell is one of the diseases that comes to mind. I think that it's really prevalent in African Americans.
Correct.
And I think most of us are familiar with it.
Correct. Sickle cell, if you can imagine a sickle, it's a crescent shape. And what that does is it doesn't allow the blood to flow smoothly through your veins. It catches on things, it basically gets caught up. And that can be very painful. The amount of blood transfusions that a person can have with sickle cell disease is about 100 per year.
Oh my goodness.
So if you can imagine, each time you do that, you need to have somebody donate that blood to you. And as we're saying, the more you can donate that matches your blood type, the better off you are. So O is the universal donor. More people have positive blood, and so O positive is the one we're looking for. And statistics have shown, and research has shown, that Black and African Americans tend to have O and O positive blood as their majority of their blood types.
So we definitely need those donors.
Correct, yes.
And that's one of the reasons we have you here today too, because we've got a blood drive coming up. WABC is a sponsor of this blood drive because we recognized how important. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. In the middle of August, the 14th and 15th of August, from 12 until 5 p.m. at our New York City building on 49th and 10th, so 520 West 49th Street, we will be collecting blood. You can go to www.redcrossblood.org and you can sign up. They'll ask you for a code, and it's ABC, so that you know which blood drive you're signing up for, because we do multiple ones per day. But those will be the ones that you guys are sponsoring and that we're having on those 2 days.
Okay. Are there some people that can't give blood?
There's always people that can't give blood, and you can be a blood donor ambassador and champion people to go out and give blood. There are people that can't give blood for specific reasons, whether or not they're suffering from a disease like sickle cell or cancer, whether they've had some medications that they're on. But you can go through a pre-screening to see which medications, if you follow through that checklist and you don't have any of those medications, come on in. You get a mini physical when you're there. We test your blood pressure, we test your hemoglobin levels, and in August we're doing A1C testing as well.
And just to be clear, because sometimes you hear a conversation, you only hear a little bit of, we talked a lot about O positive donors, because that is a universal donor in so many African Americans. But we need all the blood types.
We need all blood types. I'm A positive, and we need A positive, B positive, A negative, B negative, AB, O. Yes, we take it all. And what you do get that little physical, as I said, so once your blood gets tested, you donate, you will get a little, if you have the blood donor app, you will get a little refreshed synopsis of your blood, how your looking, and you can share those results with your primary care physician as well if you need to.
And if you didn't know your blood type, once you go, you're going to get it.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you know it or not.
And also, you can give blood more than one time. Which
You
is
can. You can give blood every 56 days, whole blood. This is the blood drive that we're doing in August with ABC. So every 56 days, basically every 2 months, you can give blood. It's 1 pint of blood. It takes about an hour from the start to finish, from the moment you walk in the door until the moment you've had your cookies and juice and you walk out. But the actual time that you're on the table giving blood is usually about 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's not very long at all.
Not at all.
520 West 49th Street, August 14th and August 15th. Go to redcrossblood.org. If you need to put a code in there, put your zip code in.
Or
ABC, and that'll send you to the right drive. Thank you so much for sitting down with us. It really is an important message that bears repeating.
It is. And thank you so much for having us and spreading the word.
It is our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Here and Now. If you missed any portion of today's show, you can watch at abc7ny.com/hereandnow or listen to our podcast wherever you subscribe. If you'd like to comment or share your story, email us at hereandnow@wabc.com or follow us on Facebook and Instagram. I'm Sandra Bookman. Enjoy the rest of your day.